Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for coming. My name is Jim Zhang. I'm a professor and director of the Data Science and Informatics Core for Cancer Research. And this is a separate funded core. I joined SBMI since 2013 as an associate professor. Since then, I have been a bioinformatics professor in SBMI. And this is a project funded by the CPRID in 2017 to establish this data science and informatics core to support cancer research. And so this is what we talk about for this project. So data science and informatics core for cancer research, short for DSICCR, but we basically can say DSICCR. So here is the etymology of the phonetics, right? So sick means affected with disease or ill health, and the DSICC means remove illness, get rid of illness, and the DSICCR means people who perform the act of DSICC, and that's how we call it DSICCR. And so this is kind of similar to MD Anderson tried to get rid of a cancer, right? So with that, let's just start to talk a little bit about the DSICCR. So the idea about this core is that the cross-scale cancer data sets are being generated faster than they can be analyzed, interpreted, and capitalized on, right? So we have biomedical research across all the scales, going from population to individual to organs and tissues, and to cells, subcellular level, protein and gene level, and to all the way to the small molecular level, which is, for example, drugs that treat the disease. In the past, people developed a different area of informatics to handle data generated by this research, right? Obviously, from these different scales of research, we generate different levels of data. At the population level, we have population data. At the individual level, we have clinical data. At the organ and tissue level, we have imaging data. At cell, subcellular, protein, and gene level, we have molecular data. And then at the small molecular level, we have drug data, right? And then in the past, we developed different informatics to handle all these different data sets at different levels. At the population level, we have public health informatics or epidemiology. And at the clinical individual level, we have clinical informatics. At the organ and tissue level, we have imaging informatics. At the cellular or subcellular level, we have bioinformatics. And at the small molecular level, we have chemoinformatics. And so in the old days, we generate data at different level at small scale. And also the research scale is small, so we don't really have a lot of cross-scale data. So each level of data handled by this different informatic approach very well. Data is siloed, and the methodology is not cross-scale. And so that's what happened in the past. But now with large-scale research, cancer research, for example, like the TCGA and other projects, now we can analyze the patient sample at all different levels. We can study epidemiology, cancer epidemiology at the population level. At the same time, we can look at the individuals with their EHR, and we can also have their imaging data. We also analyze their tumor molecular characteristics by different kinds of omics analysis. We also look at the drug response, treatment response, drug synergy, all those kind of information at the small molecular level. So all this information can be generated with the cohort of patients that has great potential to be integrated across scale. So that's where data science is really coming to play, that can handle large amount of data at all across scale and with new approaches, like, for example, artificial intelligence, to integrate and analyze this data. So that's how this is behind the whole idea of the DSICCR. It's basically data science and informatics core that across all scales can analyze the cancer data. And also, we are looking into the latest advance in hardware and the other support for the informatics research. For example, like the GPU and other technology that advanced really quickly. There are a lot of things that we simply could not do in the past. Now we can do it easily. And so all these kind of things come into play and helped us to form this idea to establish this data science and informatics for cancer research. The idea, together with other aspects of the data science, were put together as a Viewpoint article published in JAMA in 2018. I'm honored that JAMA put our Viewpoint paper together with Dr. Geoffrey Hinton's paper on the deep learning to transform the healthcare. There are 3 Viewpoint papers, basically all centered around applying artificial intelligence and data science to advance healthcare research. So first, for this DSICCR, we have 16 faculties participate in the core with the expertise across all different levels of biomedical research. We have faculties whose research are at clinical informatics level for example, clinical natural language processing, clinical data warehouse, conceptual modeling, biomedical ontology, terminology, cognitive psychology, or information retrieval, imaging processing. We also have bioinformatics faculties whose expertise are large-scale data integration and analysis, visualization, systems biology, cancer genomics, statistical genetics, cancer genomics and pathway analysis, and also the functional genomics, genome privacy, as well as biostatistics experts whose expertise in, for example, research design, analysis, and methodology development, dynamic modeling, observational populational-based studies, as well as modeling of longitudinal data, time series data, and the spatial process. I have to give credit to our dean, Jiajie, who had the vision to really recruit all these wonderful faculties across all these different levels, make it possible to assemble this great team to build the data science and informatics core. So there are 4 components of the DSICCR. So first one is the hardware, right? As I mentioned earlier, in order to process cross-scale data at the grand scale that we have, for example, TCGA and other large data sets, you have to have a robust hardware infrastructure. And the hardware has to be versatile, diverse, high performance, high capacity, and high availability. And the second component is data, right? So we rely on data to do our research. So this would include data acquisition, data management, data discovery, data retrieval, and data analysis. And then the third important part is the methodology development, so that we can have a robust methodology to analyze large amount of data. The methodology has to be robust, cutting edge, diverse, and cross-scale. And put all these together, then we can provide great service to support the cancer researchers to advance our cancer research. For the hardware, we actually spent a significant amount of effort to put together this hardware infrastructure. Me work with our SBMI IT team and also work with faculty like Xiao Chen. We put together this hardware infrastructure that include latest GPU server with the robust NVIDIA GPU so that we can train the deep learning models for all kinds of research. We also acquired a large memory server from Supermicro. So this is a server with 6 terabytes of system memory and 448 CPU cores that is very robust, can help with large scale data analysis. And also we have NFS file server together with several other direct attached storage device that we have overall have 1,000 terabytes or 1 petabytes of usable storage. And we also put together a 26-node Hadoop cluster for data analysis and also for hosting large clinical database that I will talk about later. And recently, I also worked with Dr. Jiku Zhang from medical school to expand this Hadoop cluster from 26 nodes to 36 nodes, where he had some fund to purchase 10 nodes to add to this system, which I think is a great model to help us to grow our hardware capacity by combining resources from individual faculties. Because individual faculties, they might get a grant, they might have a small amount of money, but it could have buy some hardware, but may not be robust enough. By pulling this money together, we grow this robust infrastructure that everybody can use. Then that can make our infrastructure really, really competitive and can handle a large amount of data. And all these hardware are on this 10G and 25G network. And also, we also have a connection to the Texas Advanced Computing Center with the help of Joe from Tech. They have one of the world's fastest computer clusters. Recently, they also added some GPU servers and GPU clusters as well. So we have also been extensively using their hardware as well, because what they have actually is quite complement to what we have. That actually is what we did on purpose. We don't want to repeat the things Tech already have. We want to build to complement what they have, so that we can sort of have a diverse hardware environment to do our data science driven cancer research. And the performance is quite impressive. So for example, when we put together this clinical database, Cerner database, which many of us have been using or used, the query used to be like take 25 minutes on a single server. Now it only takes like 4 seconds. And for RNA-seq reads mapping on a single server, it takes like 300 minutes. Now it only takes 5 minutes. There are also like a billion scale tensor factorization that used to take like 1,200 minutes. Now it only takes 1 minute. So, I mean, certainly we are still working out the details about how to optimize this hardware, how to make it more available, and tailor it for our specific projects. But overall, this hardware infrastructure is very robust and has been used by many of our faculties. It's kind of a great environment to support our cancer research. And so with regard to the data, we're focusing on helping with the data resources and data access. So as many of you guys may know, Dr. Hua Xu, who is also faculty in our core, established this data service coordination office. And we have been working with them extensively and provided hardware support to deploy and host all these databases we have, including Cerner HealthFacts, Truven, and Optum databases. And the robust hardware infrastructure really making all these clinical databases very accessible and very usable. And now people can have very sophisticated queries to get the exact data they want from these databases. The other thing we also have been doing is working with people to develop different ways to make data discovery easily, and so that people can really find the data for their research. Here is the website of the SBMI Data Service Coordination Office with Dr. Hua Xu as the director. As I said, we work very closely with this office, provide hardware infrastructure support for all these kind of databases. If you want to know more about what the data available, you can go to their website and take a look. We also, about 2 weeks ago, we also have hosted a seminar where Ms. Yu Jiazhou, who's in charge of data access from this office, gave a presentation about how to access all these data and how to work with them to get the data you want. So another thing we have been doing is collaborating with the DSICCR participating faculty to develop different ways to help with the data discovery and improve the data availability. For example, we work with Dr. Huling Wu, who is also the co-leader of the Biostatistics Division of DSICCR. And we develop a text mining-based approach to reanalyze the metadata of the geo database. And then we created what's called a restructured geo by reorganize the data based on characteristics in the metadata. And we also helped to discover, for example, the time series data, like a microarray data with more than 8 time points, which is not available in current geo database. So these can greatly help with people who want to study the dynamics of the gene expression. Dr. Wu's group also worked with Dr. Roberts in SBMI, who is also a participating faculty of DSICCR. They developed a content-based dataset recommendation system for researchers. And so these also help researchers to find the data they need that can help them with their research. Another component of the DSICCR is methodology development. Our participating faculty are very well established investigators in their research domains. Many of them have developed novel data science and informatics algorithms. And so far, together, our participating faculty published over 100 papers. Some of them are collaborative, but many of them are also very significant methodology development paper. We provide a platform to translate these methodologies to advanced cancer research. So here are a few examples of our participating faculty's work. For example, Dr. Zi and Dr. Tao worked together, developed some very significant methods that using terminologies for EHR data mining, including a paper published in the Nature Digital Medicine. The MedBird used the pre-trained contextualized embedding on large-scale structured electronic health records for disease prediction. And also they evaluated some representation of EHR data for predictive modeling, did a comparison between UMLS and other terminologies. And these are basically using the latest deep learning approach, the artificial intelligence, to further improve the electronic health record data mining. Participating faculty, Dr. Luca Giancarlo, also employed deep learning-based methods to analyze the imaging data, help faculties at MD Anderson. And also we worked together to evaluate some current methods for imaging data analysis. And the participating faculty, Dr. Dejian Lai, who is a biostatistician, developed some methods can be applied to advanced cancer research. For example, in this work, he developed methods for the sequential monitoring of covariates adaptive randomized clinical trials with sample size re-estimation. So with all these robust hardware, the data access, and also the methodology development, we have been helping cancer researchers and other researchers to advance their work, providing support in data analysis, grant development, collaborative research, infrastructure support, and the methodology development. Here's just a few examples with the support provided from my group. There are many other works, other participating faculties as well. Just because of the space, I cannot list all of them. Overall, we provided support for over 90 faculties in different schools that in all these different areas, as I mentioned, data analysis, grant development, collaborative research, infrastructure support, and methodology development, as well as publication. Here are some work done by the participating faculty. Dr. Yamo from Biostatistics helped with this research on cervical cytology reproducibility, and also evaluated this with the associated clinical and demographic factors. So here's another work we participated to help Dr. Liang Li from MD Anderson, who's a biostatistician. So basically, we work together, try to use the GPU and the deep learning library to accelerate traditional statistical model. This model basically performed the joint statistical modeling for dynamically predicted disease risk in longitudinal study. We take the advantage of hardware we have and also obtain large amount of clinical data from the Center Health Fact database provided by Dr. Xu's office with over 100,000 patients. And then we develop the algorithm to accelerate the methods they have and then predict the disease risk. In this case, the liver cancer risk in the non-alcoholic fatty liver disease patients. So for this project, what Dr. Lee developed is try to combine information from the EHR with updates to predict the disease risk by joining the survival data and the longitudinal data. And then they predict the risk of the disease through this joint modeling. In the past, they only handle patients in the range of 100 to maybe 1,000 patients, which the traditional statistical methods work very well. However, as you can see, we are growing in terms of data, right? Instead of like maybe 1,000 patients they used to analyze, now we can query this large clinical database to get 100,000 patients. And so to analyze the disease risk at this scale, traditional statistical methods they developed is not working. What we did is to take their methods and then use array programming, use GPU to accelerate their algorithm so that we can easily handle these 100,000 patients. So on the left, as you can see that the current methods cannot really handle these many patients. They just give you out of memory errors. But with the methods we developed, within 1,000 seconds, we can get all these analysis done. So this is one thing I think I have been advocating, that is the important role of hardware to enable the data science and artificial intelligence research. So another work published by Dr. Elmer Bernstein and Dr. Fonda Bernstein from MD Anderson on this Optime oncology clinical trial annotation engine. That's a collaboration between our core and the MD Anderson Cancer Center. So here are representative projects for the collaborations and services. For example, the collaboration on the cancer immunotherapy, disease pathway and drug combination, dental disease and cancer, liver disease and cancer, brain metastasis risk, bladder cancer, breast cancer, et cetera, et cetera. Obviously, this is pretty dynamic. We have collaborations with many people. Some projects work out, may get grant funding. Some projects may not work out as expected, but we have been continually work with the different faculty at UT Health in Texas Medical Center and across Texas to use data science and artificial intelligence to help them with their cancer research. So in terms of how to reach, obviously, I think everybody knows that we're all battling the pandemic, and the operation of the core is definitely not normal. And since we all work from home, the operation of the core is greatly helped by the web of collaborative network by our participating faculty. With our well-established faculty and their collaboration, we still can work with many cancer researchers. We have been working with many faculties across 22 different institutions, none of which is from Texas, including 4 UT campus. And so if you are interested in the collaboration, you can go to our website and there are contact information there. Here is a summary of all the papers published by the DSICCR participating faculty. As you can see, the research mainly centered around cancer. Then you also see other aspects of this research, especially given what we do, right? You can see that a lot of this work related to data, related to learning, related to analysis, and things like that. I also want to emphasize that many of our faculties are working in the area of artificial intelligence, especially the deep learning technology. Overall, collectively we published like 26 papers on deep learning based approach. That's in the next phase of the data science core. That would be our major focus, to employ cutting edge AI and deep learning methods to advance cancer research. In terms of the grant support, our faculties are very successful, and we helped many projects to win their grant award. Here are some examples. In this one, Dr. Jeff Chan helped participate in this research on the mechanisms of aberrant ribosomal RNA methylation and altered mRNA translation in cancer. And Dr. Michael Schwartz supported the obtaining this grant in determining the accuracy of self and the partner and exam for detecting an abnormality. And Dr. Kirk Roberts helped to support this grant programmatic to review intention in social media for health promotion. And also Dr. Bernstein, Dr. Chen, and me, we basically the major part of the biomedical informatics component of our CCTS, which is the CTSA award to our university, and 3 of us helped grant. And then we also successful in terms of obtaining a training grant. Dr. Zhongmin Zhao, who is the co-leader in bioinformatics, just recently won this training grant award from CIPRIT to train the next generation cancer researchers with informatics skills. In terms of the outreach and the reporting, what we have been doing, we have the DSICCR weekly seminar on Tuesday at noon. This seminar is dedicated to data science and informatics research. The research presentation will be by participating faculty, collaborators, and staffs. And we will also incorporate the data science and informatics technology tutorials and the data science user help clinical clinics and the webinar. It's going to be data science oriented. We focus on large data science for data analysis, cutting edge data science and machine learning methodology, and advanced computing hardware. And which we actually did a presentation about the hardware we have some time ago. Right now, it's virtual. I hope we can have a face-to-face meeting soon, and then we can provide free pizza to the participants. So the strength of the DSICCR. So there are several things I really want to mention about our strength. One is this a new model to support cancer research. In 2000, I worked with many other informatics directors of the NCI Designated Cancer Center to publish this paper. Based on my discussion with other people and the idea I have, we propose what's called the proactive data-driven cancer informatics support. The idea is that given this rapid advancement in data science and artificial intelligence, for example, deep learning, we see these new models, new ways of doing things, day by day. Even us working in this area, have hard time to keep up with all this advancement, not to mention people who work in the lab. So the idea is that we want to, first, certainly we want to keep ourselves at the forefront of data science and AI research, right? And then instead of let people come to us, just ask our help, we should actually be proactive. We should go to them and tell them that what latest advancement in data science and the AI that can help them with their research. So one example is this AlphaFold. For many people probably already know, right? In the past, like 20-some years, people try to predict protein structure from the primary sequence. And even though the progress, people have a steady progress in that area, but the outcome has never been ideal. The algorithms people developed can predict the structure with a certain accuracy, but it has never been to the extent that we think that useful, right? And then in 2020, the AlphaFold is developed by the company called DeepMind, which is a part of the Google's parent company, that they took the deep learning approach to develop this protein structure prediction algorithm called AlphaFold that actually comparable in many cases to experimentally solved protein structure. So which make this protein structure prediction become usable. And people are very excited about this advancement. So as soon as we read the paper, we set up the AlphaFold pipeline in our system, and then we started talking to our collaborators on how we might be able to use this advancement to help with their research. Go to our users and collaborators to tell them what's going on, what's the advancement, how this advancement can help them with their research, as an example for proactive service. The other thing is we are also helping people with data-driven research. So instead of that, they do hypothesis-driven approach in the lab by first have a hypothesis, then design the experiments, then do the data analysis. Now, with so many data available, we can actually help them by doing data mining on existing data sets out there, and maybe either generate some hypothesis or make some discovery before our collaborators in the lab actually do any experiments. So that way you can save time and effort and money without doing any experiments before they initiate any experiments. That's sort of another way that we can help cancer researchers. Here's one example we published last year by analyzing large amount of sequencing data generated from patient-derived xenografts, which is a tumor model in mouse. We found that there are a lot of these tumor samples have the mouse virus sequence in it. And so we help people to think that when they use these mouse models for drug development, they should pay attention to these kind of issues with the presence of a virus from the mouse. And we also proposed that some way that might be able to use to improve and or recover the drug leads that developed to use the system in the past. Besides the proactive service model I mentioned, we also have experts that's nationally recognized research teams. For example, Dr. Hua Xu, Dr. Roberts, Dr. Cui Tao, they are really top researchers in the area of natural language processing, text mining, and the biomedical terminology. As an example, Dr. Xu's group recently participated in this BioCreative competition, which is a very widely recognized competition in the field of natural language processing. Even though the team is late in the game for about a month, in the end, their results are quite impressive. The team ranked number 4 worldwide in the main task, but ranked number 2 in the large-scale task. As you can see, that this kind of expertise would definitely help with a cancer researcher who need this kind of support. And also another strength we have is translational research. Dr. Bernstein, Dr. Chen, and me, we have been part of the CTSA circle for many, many years to support translational research. I think this is a significant strength in terms of that area, and we can definitely provide support. The other strength is artificial intelligence. For example, Dr. Xiaoqian Jiang was recruited as a separate rising star to study the drug combination for cancer therapy. And he developed this deep learning artificial intelligence approach using transfer learning to predict the drug synergy in understudied tissues. We helped with this project. The paper is published in JAMA. As you can see, we have these kind of cutting-edge methods applied to the cancer research. And also Dr. Luca Giancato as I mentioned earlier, have been developing new deep learning-based approach for the imaging data analysis. Another example is Dr. Zhongmin Zhao. He has been doing this line of work for the past few years, published many high-impact papers by applying like deep learning approach for sequencing data analysis and other omics data analysis. So in terms of research training, so besides weekly seminar, which I'm very glad to see many of our students are participating, and also people are actively participating by asking questions and have very good discussion. So we also offer practicum for students, so they can work on the projects within the core, get familiar with what we do, and get familiar with the like hardware environment and those kind of things. And also, we also, like me, also sort of supervise students with their independent study, so they can also sort of work on projects related to cancer, and also get exposed to our research environment. Another example is like lab rotations that I have been working with Dr. Zhao, Zhongmin Zhao, who is the PI of this CPRIT training grant. And we, besides the lab rotation, we are also developing many more training opportunities. The key certainly is to teach our students use other people's data, right? Okay, so there are some new opportunities in terms of the DSICCR. We are developing the user group. So this basically is a mechanism to expand the scope of currently funded projects by data science and AI. The PI has to be a tenured or tenure-track faculty at a Texas institution. PI's project has current funding by a reputable funding source. And also, like, to be a user group, you need a DSICCR faculty sponsor. And so the support will be in the form of free service hours. The user group can access to DSICCR's computing infrastructure, data, and expertise through our DSICCR faculty sponsor. So another opportunity is the pilot project. And so these will support innovative cancer research or methodology development that can benefit cancer research. The PI, again, has to be a tenured or tenure-track faculty at Texas institution, and need a faculty sponsor from DSICCR. And also we provide the free service hours. And again, users can access our computing infrastructure, data, and expertise. And the information about how to get this kind of support are listed on our website. You can go there and get more information, fill out the form, and then we can go from there. So how to find us? Here's our website, and it contains all the information about the DSICCR core, including participating faculty, the advisors, what we have accomplished, what outreach activities we have, what resources we have, and all those kind of things. So with that, I would like to acknowledge our participating faculty. Again, as you can see, that this definitely is not a one-person job. Everybody participating have been doing great jobs to contribute to this core and to support cancer research. Also, I would like to thank people from my group and our external advisor, and also our internal advisor, and also our IT team and web team that are also very helpful. And this project is supported by CPRIT. With that, I'll stop here and take any questions.
Excellent timing. So I have not so much a question, but a request for comment. You mentioned the infrastructure and growth of that infrastructure. As you may know, many institutions are interested in cloud computing. Many are investing in cloud computing, either through institutional agreements or through some other agreements. How do you see DSICCR moving to the cloud, not moving to the cloud? Is that something you're evaluating, and if so, how? Thank you.
Right. So actually, before we make the decision to build this hardware infrastructure, we have an extensive evaluation about the option to go to cloud or build our own, right? So the issue, I think, with cloud, probably over these few years, it might become less of an issue. But one thing is that we all live on grants, right? So you nowadays you got a grant for 3, 4, 5 years. Barely anybody got a grant more than 5 years, right? You got a grant, you have some money. Let's say you pay Amazon or whatever to host your data, to do your analysis, finish your project. Once your grant is over, you don't have money. What are you going to do? You don't basically have anything, right? And also, especially nowadays, nobody, I mean, even for those very well established faculty, there's no guarantee, you get your next grant, right? So that's an inherent issue or the nature of our, sort of life. And with that kind of uncertainty, and I think cloud, when we weighted these two options, we feel like, building an internal infrastructure is a better option. Let's say, after 4 or 5 years, even say we don't have any grants. We still have the hardware infrastructure. We still can do our research, because that's all we need, right? You just need the data, you need a computer, you do your research, and then you sort of generate preliminary data, get your next grant. Even you have a gap. So that's sort of the rationale behind building within, for our in-house hardware infrastructure. As to moving to cloud, I do think there are some advantage for the cloud. For example, if you need a hardware, a computing environment that we don't have in-house, you might be able to quickly get Amazon account, specify what you need to get a sort of account to prototype whatever you want to develop. And then after that, you then can decide what you want to do. You want to continue in the cloud, or you want to really, buy hardware for that kind of needs or something like that. I think that's one advantage of this quick prototyping kind of things. In terms of the long-term solution, if the institution supports these kind of things, for example, if UT Health say, okay, we're going to work with Amazon to provide this a continuous uninterrupted cloud support for our research, maybe then my original concern is not that big an issue. But until then, I feel like with the in-house infrastructure probably is a better option.
Thank you. That's very helpful as the institution is considering such things now. Thank you.
Sure. I see any. Okay. Does DSICCR has a strategy for accommodating supporting federated learning? That actually is something we have been talking about, as we have this infrastructure. Actually, it could be sort of a good to develop some of these kind of things, at least prototyping, right? But we haven't had any project currently that really sort of all collaborator sort of come to us say, hey, we need to look into this. If there are somebody who are working on this kind of project, I'm very happy to talk to. How can we access data science Tuesday seminar? Okay, so on our website, which I showed here, right? So on our website, there's the last tab is called Outreach. If you click on that tab, there's a link to the weekly seminar, and I'm pretty sure you will enjoy it. Okay. Any other questions?
Okay.
If not,
So it's 1 o'clock. Thank you so much.
thank you. Thank you very much, everyone.